Today we'll answer the question, who are the people who inspire you?
Honestly, I'm really inspired by people who are pioneers, who do things that nobody else ever bothers to try. I think that these days, so many of us live in cities, and we never really leave that 30-mile radius outside of our homes, that we don't stop to think that there really is wilderness out here. It still exists. It's not gone. It hasn't vanished. That's one of the reasons why I've said I wouldn't try to build a house by myself out in the desert. It's just as dangerous to do that today as it would have been to do it 100 years ago. The sort of people who inspire me, though, if you want to get to specific people,
We do.
I would say Neil Armstrong.
Right.
Definitely one of my biggest inspirations. As I have mentioned in other videos, to me, growing up during the time that I have has been such a privilege to think that I was alive at the same time as somebody like Neil Armstrong. Now, I think some people don't really appreciate what Neil really did, walking on the moon. A lot of people see him as the first man to walk on the moon. But what I think is an even more interesting way to look at that is that he's the first person to ever be anywhere that was not the Earth.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about this, every person in history, everybody that you've ever heard of, everything they did was here.
Yep.
He's the only person, or the first person, who went somewhere that wasn't Earth. I think that's pretty amazing. I also admire people you've probably never heard of, like, Dick Pronecki. Again, hope I'm pronouncing his name right, but he was an American man who lived alone for 30 years in the Alaskan wilderness.
He built his 11 by 14 cabin by hand at the age of 52. Oddly enough, Dick passed away at the very same time Eric was moving out to California.
Superman is also an inspiration. Even though he may be fictional, he's one of my favorite fictional characters. Superman was invented in my hometown of Cleveland. And the reason I admire him is because he's the embodiment of our highest ideals. Even as corruption and criminals erode the foundation of American freedom and liberty, Superman still has faith that stalwart citizens will turn things around. Another person that really inspires me, Robin Hood.
I love Robin Hood.
I'm one of those people that I personally think Robin Hood is probably real, at least inspired by real people. If he wasn't an individual, I think that the legend probably stemmed from real people. So I really like Robin Hood because of everything that he stood for. And with all the American themes of Luthorville, I think that Robin Hood in a lot of ways is a very American type of hero. I know he's English, but my point is that the spirit of steal from the rich, give to the poor, and really fight against tyranny, that's what America was founded on, fighting against tyranny.
Okay, what's your favorite version of Robin Hood?
Hands down, it is the Michael Praed version of Robin Hood from the Showtime series.
Awesome. Mine's the cartoon with the fox and the bear. I love that one.
Okay.
Robin Hood was foxy.
Yeah, that's the Disney version, having worked at Disney for 6 years. I love the Disney version too, but that wasn't really what popped into my head as the first one.
Getting back to American inspirations, I think you have to include every single man who signed the Declaration of Independence. Those are some incredibly brave and admirable people. I know you're currently working on an essay about how courageous those men were. Those mans were?
Those mans.
Those mans were.
Those men?
Those mans were so courageous.
They were some brave men.
All right. We got this. All right. I know you're currently working on an essay about how courageous those men were and how the United States Declaration of Independence was the most punk rock political manifesto ever written.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's all true. Robin Hood to the Declaration of Independence, definitely inspiring to me. I would say another person who really inspires me that probably most of you have never heard of, Laura Decker. You know who she is?
Vaguely. No. So Go ahead.
Laura Decker is the youngest person to ever circumnavigate the globe. She was 14 years old when she set out to do this, and she sailed around the world all by herself. There is a documentary on her, in fact, called Maiden Trip, which you should definitely check out. It's really cool. And anybody who can do something like that is definitely a big inspiration to me, because have you done anything like that when you were 14?
Yeah. My parents barely let me hang out at the mall alone when I was 14.
Yeah. So we're all kind of behind Laura Decker. She's kind of living a little bit ahead of all of us.
Now, the reason I admire Laura so much is because she said she didn't do it to become famous or to be in the history books. She just wanted to know for herself that she was capable of achieving this. And that is admirable in ways most of us will never be.
For me, that's the trick. I mean, that's the difference between people who wish for dreams and people who attain dreams. People who only wish for dreams give up at the very first time they have a setback. People who achieve dreams, when they have setbacks, never occurs to them to quit. You just forge ahead. That's just what you do. There's never a fail-safe or a fallback plan. There's only the goal. Obstacles are irrelevant.
Failure is not an option.
Luthorville is an educational series inspiring kids and adults to become excited about innovations in science and technology by documenting the design and construction of a Mojave Desert homestead called Galatea Meridian. Witness the crazy story of how Eric Muss-Barnes, an unemployed computer geek and struggling novelist, risks homelessness by spending most of his life savings to build an off-grid dream house in the middle of nowhere. Having purchased vast acres of the Old West, can Eric find a stable job and create his home before his money runs out? Take a journey where fortitude and a pioneering spirit continue to forge the American dream on the romantic landscape of the American frontier.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of Luthorville.
Be sure to share with your friends and family.
And remember, if your ambitions don't scare you,
They aren't big enough.